Word on the street is that mental health challenges are on the rise in the United States and across the globe, and it's definitely showing up in the workplace. So we're going to talk about some data, and we are going to talk about some things that the employer should be considering as it pertains to mental health in the United States of America. Let's get to it. All right, gang, so there is some new published data that is sobering, all right? The number of suicides in the US increased in 2021 by 5%, and then in 2022 by 2.6%, up to 49,444 cases of suicide for the year of 2022. This is a significant issue, but what's even more pronounced to me was who was being significantly impacted. In this particular study, which was produced by the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, men were disproportionately impacted, accounting for 39,255 of these suicide deaths in the United States of America. That's out of 49,000, almost 50,000 suicides in 2022. Nearly 40,000 of those suicides were men. 4 out of 5 of the suicides were men. Sobering statistics, right? What was even more interesting about this particular article that we were reading is that a 2023 study identified that 85% of workers don't use the mental health resources afforded to them, available to them through their employer. They don't go to the therapist, they don't go to the counseling sessions, they are not utilizing those services at all. And they could change the lives, the likelihood of a suicide actually happening for a person if they just tapped into those resources that are predominantly free to them. So what should we be doing about this in the workplace, right? People used to say pretty consistently that you should separate, health discussions from the workplace. Don't bring the personal things inside the workplace. But the world has changed. Times have changed. And we're talking about mental health in the workplace more and more. From active shooter trainings to the threat of violence in the workplace by a person who is having a mental health crisis, right? We are talking about it far more often. And so here are a few things for you to consider as you think about how can you support a person who may or may not be going through a mental health crisis in the workplace, okay? Number one, if there's a person whose attitude and behaviors have changed, they're really seeming like they're struggling with some things, offer support. Ask them how they're doing. Share with them, I've seen a change in your engagement. I've seen a change in some of your behavior. Is everything okay? And if you don't feel like coming and talking to me about the topic, offer your health insurance resources, right? Offer those resources to the individual so that they can have someone to talk to. And don't make it seem like it's a big deal. You can even share with them. And the best practices that many therapists will say is that if you share with them support, and offer them resources, most people will take them and appreciate it. Especially if you share it really broadly and openly, right? With no stigma associated with it. Like, well, I would never use this, but if you need it, it's here. Don't do those things. Like, just check in, see how they're doing, and then tell them that there are resources available to them. Also, don't discount when a person does share with you that they're having a mental health issue. The number of clients that we've spoken with where they're like, oh, this person is, they have these mental health challenges and then they can't come to work because they need their mental health time. Don't make fun of people for actually taking the time necessary to find balance in a world that's basically on fire. Like, the world is not in a great space, it's impacting us. So be kind and be gentle and give them the space to use the resources, whether it's their PTO or drawing down on different health insurance benefits. Give them that space if they need it. Now, I'm not saying that every time somebody comes in and says that they need a mental health day, that you just, in perpetuity, with no restrictions, with no expectations on deliverables, etc., to just allow them to do that. That is not what I'm suggesting that you do. But I am saying give a little bit of grace. Offer people, if they need some short-term disability and some additional time out of the office in order to find balance, provide them with those resources. Think about it the same way that you would provide resources to a person who expressed to you or shared with you that they had cancer. What would be your response? Or that they are struggling with some diabetes. Like, there are people who will come in and share with you that they have a real physical health issue, and the amount of support And resources re-roll out under those circumstances when it's cancer, when it's something that they need medication, like a medication because they've got diabetes or hypertension or things of that nature. We are so responsive to that, but we will shut down when it comes to supporting someone who's having a mental health crisis or having a mental health issue. We shouldn't do that. So offer the resources, give the flexibility, and be kind. Be kind to yourself and be kind with others, because you don't know what people are going through, and no two people are going through the exact same thing. No two people are experiencing the exact same level of trauma when something bad happens. So don't project how you would deal with something on someone else. Just ask, how can I help? If you or someone you know is in a crisis, please contact 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, by calling or texting 988 or chatting online at 988lifeline.org. So that's this issue of Word on the Street. If you got other questions, comments, jump in the chat and let us know how we can help. Thanks for joining us.